All right, we have a returning guest. It is, of course, Hoop, aka Mike, returning to Lulz for the first time in, I believe, about 8 months. One of our most popular shows last time Hoop was on. We'll see what we have in store for us today. It's Lulz with Pete and Bric. Let's go.
Does he think? I think he thinks this. He thinks this is a goat. Vegas Dave thinks this is a goat.
Hot naked girls doing yoga.
What?
Why don't you just win like a man?
Random.org. Type in 1 for yes, 2 for no, and let the DFS gods pick for you.
And I'm absolutely begging you not to dupe us. Please don't dupe us.
All right, we got the chat going, GMs around. We got ships in the chat. We got Hoop back in the Lulz streets. Welcome back to the show, Mike.
Yeah, it feels good to be back. 8-9 months ago, I watched the year in review show, and I was at that top spot for 2023 in terms of your most viewed shows. I don't know if we can get there in 2024, but man, let's give it a shot and see what we can do here.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, it doesn't matter. We talked about, hot naked yoga, fish gloves, even that can't top a Hoop show when it comes to views.
No. Maybe we should combine the two, Hoop and hot naked yoga, and we'll get over 20.
I think there's something there. Live streaming, Hoop, hot naked yoga. I mean, we could get there. I mean, okay. we can make something happen.
That's right. Yeah, thank you to everyone in the chat. Looks like we got some of the Ship It Nation crew. Have you guys co-opted the rocket emoji? Is that synonymous with your brand now?
Yeah, we got it copyrighted. Like you can't use it unless you're part of the Ship It Nation community, or you're gonna get a letter in the mail.
Where's our fans? We kind of co-opted the toxic waste emoji.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
we stopped that bit. We stopped that bit a while ago.
Would that because we started encouraging toxicity in the space? We started stoking the flames of toxicity, Brian.
we need a not financial advice, not entertainment purposes only. Don't sue us, don't dupe us symbol.
Yeah. Also, I just saw this. Sorry, Hoop. This has nothing to do with you real quick, but I just wanted, people were tagging Brian in a Top Shot post yesterday. I just want to let everyone know like how this sausage got made to Brian ending up people wondering what was going on. We were on the Swolecast. I made a comment about how I need to be better about like pulling off all my random crypto in spots that I'll forever forget about. And Davis was like, oh yeah, we still co-own this moment. So he hops in the DMs and he's saying to Brian, like, fire sale everything. We're already so fucking underwater on this shit that it doesn't matter. Davis is claiming that he has pieces to Top Shot moments that he doesn't even own. Then Brian's buying and selling moments. I just want to know, Davis caused that shitstorm yesterday, Brian.
He did. Yeah, he did. Does that surprise you, Pete? Does that surprise you?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Says he bought his Top Shots because Brian told me.
Entertainment purposes only. Scrolling at the bottom of every episode.
How far off is the Top Shot stuff from its from its peak? Still
way down.
Okay, yeah.
So probably like from 50K to like 5K. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Did you ever get in those streets, Hoop?
And I'm so bad with all that stuff. Like I'm the idiot that like was against Bitcoin and everything, never did any of it. And I bought Bitcoin at like when it was at like 60K. So like I've alleviated myself from that space. Like I am not good at that. I'll stick with what I do best. I'm a musher in that department.
You're about back to even on your 60K purchase.
Really? Is it all the way back up? I should check the
It's
accounts.
pumping.
All right. Well, maybe I have to get back in
and with the money you saved by not doing Top Shot, you're well ahead.
Yeah. I'm ahead of the game. But I did some of the other stuff. What was the one, the Deep Rain chain or whatever that everyone was on? Remember that? Empire was pumping it for a while.
Oh,
DVC. It was
Deep Rain chain or something.
Yeah, I lost a shit ton of money on that too. So I'm just not good in that department.
Is that why he left Twitter? Because the Deep Rain
could be. I will say in regards to Empire, the stuff he was saying 100% true because I was involved in those streets as well, and there was not good stuff happening in those 3 months.
We've done that.
Yeah. What was he saying, Hoop, that you were privy to?
Well, I'm just saying the collusion stuff in those 10K 3-mans, 5K 3-mans, like that's 100% true. There is no denying it. The facts are there. I have contests where you can see. I mean, that was factual stuff.
Were you part of the crew that was able to profit off of Parlay Picker, spending Shahid Khan's money on FanDuel?
Yeah, I definitely was in some Parlay Picker contests. So I'd have to go back and see what the results were. But based on the way it went from him, I'm assuming there was some profit there. Yeah.
Have the Jags asked you to return any of the money?
No, I must not have won enough.
So yes, last we had you on, I checked, I believe it was May. So we're coming up on like 8-9 months last year when you started Ship It Nation. And I want to say, even at the time, I remember asking you about Randone, and Randone was on the team. And then shortly after that, Randone was no longer on the team. Do you have an update on what happened with that?
Wow, I didn't see the show starting like this, but Randone.
You did? That's what we do around here.
Yeah, I know. No, Randone, I mean, as he posted, I believe on Twitter, he made a comment that he's just like, out of the space and, nothing in particular right out of the gates, but it was clear it wasn't going to work. We mutually parted ways, and, I think he's in a better spot and we are as well. And no hard feelings. I hope he's doing well. But no juicy details on that. It's just he's out of the space. He hasn't been back as far as I know, and wish him nothing but the best.
Even though Randone's blocked me now, Pete, I want Randone back in DFS. I always thought it was kind of fun, and he's a Lulz legend, right? So we had to, you got to bring Randone up.
No, and I will say, I mean, in terms of what he did content wise, I still stand by the statement. I believe when I was on here last, I think I said that everyone was going to be pleasantly surprised or something with what he contributes. I think he's good at what he does. He's good on the shows. He knew MLB DFS quite well. I still stand by that statement. He's a good guy.
What was because we did a show, and I legitimately barely remember the details now, but there was some weird stuff going on with the YouTube where it was like his old YouTube channel that was co-opted. What was the whole unfurling of events with that YouTube channel?
Yeah. So just to be honest, when we launched Ship It Nation, we were in talks, and he's like, I have this YouTube channel that I used to use. I no longer use it. It has 30,000 subscribers. You guys want to just go ahead and use it for the business? I was like, yeah, that sounds way better than starting with 0. It probably wasn't the smartest move out of the gate because I don't think it did us any favors. I mean, the numbers immediately went down. You're not getting as, you think, okay, if I start with 30,000 subscribers versus 0, I'm going to get all these views right out of the gate. Well, that wasn't the case. I mean, he used the channel, I think it was like for lifestyle stuff or things with his wife and girlfriend. So like it didn't do anything. It didn't move the needle for Ship It Nation at all. And it probably set us back a little bit because then we did eventually have to start at 0. And when we parted ways, he took the channel back and we started at 0. So it probably, cost us a little bit. I mean, you're not like you're making a shit ton of money on YouTube streaming, unless, it's you guys. I mean, you guys are at the top in this industry of the YouTube streaming stuff, but little guys like us, we're not making a ton on those, on the YouTube shows. So again, he took the channel back. It probably was a dumb move from the beginning, and, you learn and kind of move on.
Yeah, it's why. I mean, did you hear? So Jack Settleman, who I do some shows with, he had run up a YouTube channel up to 600,000 subs just by posting short form videos like highlights. And then he ended up having to delete the channel because they'd post long form content or go live and there'd be like 20 people watching. Yeah. And it's like, if you don't build a channel based on like what you do and deliver that over and over, like the people in the algorithm just do not care.
Yeah. Yeah, it is wild how it works because you just look at the numbers and you're like, all right, you're starting with this big base of people that can potentially see, but there's so much more that goes into it that I clearly don't understand. But yeah, it's a lot.
So you guys got off to a bumpy start. What's kind of like the state of the nation, the Ship It Nation, so to speak, right now?
Yeah, so very, we started out just MLB and PGA content, and as time went on, we grew. We brought on Title and Big Marley to cover MMA. They do a phenomenal job there. Obviously, we had a pretty big NFL season, showdown stuff. We had a couple EmpireMaker winners in our community. added NHL as well, NBA. PGA started back up here, and then obviously the big news for us recently was the merger with Degenerate 75 and his community, and that's been in the works for like a couple months now. A lot of meetings, a lot of behind the scenes sort of thing, and kind of just launched it. Yesterday was the official day where we launched it. We had announced it last week, but very excited for that as well. Like all his visions and goals kind of align with what we're trying to do with myself and Tambo and our team. So it just made a lot of sense. And that's kind of the big thing that we have going right now.
Brian, you had mentioned you had seen a photo of a Ship It Nation Super Bowl party that Hoop wasn't at, and you were trying to figure out what that meant.
I saw a few Ship It Nation posts over the weekend. Yeah, one was their Super Bowl party. I'm like, where's Hoop at in that picture? Yeah. I don't know if you were...
Yeah, I wasn't there. I didn't make it out there. So the whole team went out for the Waste Management Phoenix Open. My son had a baseball tournament on Saturday, so it really didn't work out well with the flights and all that. So we had the whole team out there. Degenerate 75 and his team were out there, and they had a good time. I mean, I know there's some issues getting into the golf event and whatnot, and they cut off alcohol sales. But the team was out there from like Thursday through Monday, I believe. And they had a good time. But yeah, I wasn't there.
I did his podcast like a year ago, maybe less than that. Yeah. And he just randomly asked me to do it. Like some people told him that maybe I'd be a good guest or something. And it was fun. But what surprised me was like his following at that time wasn't huge, but like I picked up like more followers than any show I've ever been on, like by a lot.
Over the last like 3 months, obviously been following his stuff very closely. He has a very passionate and loyal group of people that are supporting him, and he does a really good job on the streams, very interactive, and does content, I think, in a different way than a lot of people in this space. A lot of people, if they're going to go on and talk about PGA DFS, including myself, like I do it, we do it on our shows too, where you're just going to go through and talk about each guy in each range, blah, blah, blah. And it gets boring, it gets repetitive. He has a totally different approach to it. And, people really enjoy his style. He's very committed to it, very committed to the showdown stuff. I mean, you've seen like his logo. A lot of times these guys are shipping contests using his showdown stuff, round 2, round 3, round 4, good ownership. A lot of other spots in the industry, they don't even really change their projections for round 2, round 3, round 4. They just kind of roll it out all the way through based off their main projections. He's in there grinding every single slate, every single showdown slate, and it's made a big difference. But I think it was a year and a half, and he's built a pretty big base of people over that time. Really good dude as well, and it just kind of worked out perfectly with what we're trying to do.
So how does that work? I'm curious. I saw his announcement video, but I don't know a lot of the other details. Like, are your Discords merging? Is he still keeping his YouTube account? Is he an owner in the site? I'm sure people are kind of interested in those machinations.
Yeah, so now he's an owner partner at Ship It Nation. We will be merging his Discord community over to our Discord community, and all his content. There's going to be a little waiting period here, but all his content within the next week or two will eventually be over at shipitnation.com. There's a group of people that obviously had subscriptions to both us and him. We both pride ourselves on keeping our price tags low and affordable for people. So there was a chunk of people that had both. So we kind of had to work out the schematics there. But at the end of the day, everybody is going to be taken care of. It's a situation where everyone's getting more. Anyone that was paying at Ship It Nation, anyone that was paying at Degen 75, they're now going to get more content for the same or lower price tag. And that's something that's not going to change for us moving forward.
How does a deal like that come together? Do you contact them?
Yeah, so Tambo and Degen have been doing a few shows together through the NFL season, through the PGA season. Degenerates content, like he's just doing PGA Showdown, NFL, and college football. We're at the point now where we're kind of hitting all the main sports, so he wanted to be able to offer all his people a more encompassing package with all the other sports they need instead of having to push them elsewhere. So just amongst doing shows and content with him, kind of just got in the conversation like, listen, like this is a rare situation where I think everybody can kind of benefit if we just kind of bring this all together. With this deal, we now have all the 8 main sports on DraftKings with projections, with ownership, core plays. We do slate plans, player pools, that sort of thing. So it offers both our communities, way more content for the same price. So just by doing content with them, we kind of started having these conversations. I don't know, it was probably back in November. Went back and forth for a while and kind of just came to an agreement on it that it just makes sense. It's kind of a rare situation where I think everyone kind of wins. We win, he wins, his members win, our members win. So exciting stuff.
So does that becoming owner? I mean, obviously that gives him, equity. Like if you guys were to ever sell, is it just a rev share element to that? Is that what that means?
Yeah, so I mean, he'll be, a business owner at Ship It Nation. If we ever sell, he would get his percentage. If we do distributions, he would get his percentage. And I will say, because you guys know, last time I was on here, I'd made some business mistakes in the past. We got the legal documents this time around, boys. We got the legal documents this time around.
I was gonna ask, because you were, a founding member at Run Pure, how different are your responsibilities now as a founding member of Ship It versus then? Are you more hands-on with some of this business stuff, or what are the differences then and now?
I'd say honestly pretty similar. Me and Tambo from the beginning kind of split duties. I have a financial background, so even at Run Pure, I was handling the financial stuff. Over here, I'm kind of doing that. Tambo kind of has taken the lead on content creation, managing the team. I will say, I knew Tambo pretty well, but getting to know him more on a business level, he's probably the hardest working guy that I've ever encountered in this industry. The guy does not sleep. He's very passionate about it. He has done a ton to grow this business. And couldn't imagine a better business partner. I mean, he's a phenomenal guy, and his work ethic is like none other. But in terms of the day-to-day stuff for me, I'd say, pretty similar. Again, I kind of handle the financial stuff. That's what I've done in the past at, my jobs and other careers, and kind of, fits me well and what I'm kind of good at doing.
What's your staff size up to now?
Well, as you guys know, I mean, we've kind of taken a little bit of a different approach than a lot of these sites in the industry, where you're seeing other places kind of just bring on names and hoping that, their screenshots are going to lead to people coming over and signing up at the website. And that's not necessarily, I mean, that's something that I've seen, and I just don't think it necessarily works. So we're keeping a small team and, managing to accomplish this with that small team. We have, outside of me and Tambo, prior to the degenerate merger, 7-8 guys, I'd say, is where we're at.
I'm always fascinated, for DFS companies, fantasy, whatever content companies, it's obvious you can make a good living and keep things lean and not too complicated, or you can try to scale and, you hire more people. You might have to pull back if the revenue's there. Where do you guys fall on that spectrum? Are you content kind of hey, we like what we have going, we want to serve these customers, or is it grow?
So for us, we want to find that happy balance, be able to grow, be able to offer our customer base more while keeping the prices low. And the only way you can truly keep the prices low is not having this big team, because once you start adding on, you want to keep adding, because you say, man, I want to have the biggest, I want to have the best team. I want people to look at us and say, we have all these people doing content. I have to get over there. I have to sign up. And from what I've seen, it doesn't really work that way. So we want to find the balance of being able to grow and do big things while keeping our team relatively small, which creates good opportunity for everyone involved. I mean, that's a commitment that we've made to all the people that do content at our site. You're going to come on. Yeah, you might have to do some extra work, but the bigger we get, the bigger your role can potentially be, because there's not going to be as many people competing with those roles and those opportunities to do more for us. So, it's the business model that we're going to kind of stick to moving forward. I don't anticipate it changing.
How big are you guys into sports betting affiliates? Did you guys get the affiliate deals with DraftKings and FanDuel and everyone?
Yeah, no, didn't really get into that. I mean, it is pretty difficult to do all that. It seems like you almost need to hire it out or bring someone on board that kind of specializes in it. I know if you have it set up properly and you're able to get everything, structured, you can make a shit ton of money on it, but it's nothing that we've gotten into at this point. just kind of a firm believer in focusing on what you do best, stick to it, improve and make it better. And, that sort of route. But yeah, we don't have any of those deals.
My intuition is it's actually probably not like a huge, I imagine like a lot of the money was made in these first 3 years. Like you'd still probably want to sign up, like, just thinking from a business perspective. But yeah, I've heard the same thing. It's really hard. You have to like send in your fingerprints and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like, you have to get in some of the states, you have to get like an official like gaming license. Yeah. Like there's a lot that goes into it.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's all anti like mob,
correct. Yeah. Bullshit. It's very archaic laws. I'm assuming that are still in place, and they, have to stick to it at this point.
Yeah.
And the way to capitalize it, because it rolls out at a state level, like a lot of the sites that have had success with it is you actually are like segmenting out your email list or whatever to that specific state and being like, hey, we're going to make some content, say it was, Massachusetts and New England goes live. It's like, go make this bet on the Patriots. And you're like playing to that demographic where it's not just like one rollout where everyone has it. Like you have to be very, direct with it.
Yeah, years ago, I'm assuming, it had to be an absolute printer when all this became legal. Now we're at the point where it's like, man, it's like, again, you got to go state by state. So Massachusetts is going live next week. Check out all your customers, sort it by the zip code, and, fire off a deal to these people. But back then it had to be very easy, I'd assume.
Yeah. The way I would have sold it, this doesn't matter though. I would have said, like you can get this, you can get the $100 bonus from other people, or you can get it from me. And like, I'd like it. Like, it's more of like, like we live in a content creator world now. Right. Yeah. And like people, this is why I always say like, if like me and Pete talk about like Run Peer charges a lot for their hat or whatever, I'm on board for like you're a content creator kind of. So like basically charge $40. They're not like looking for the best deal on hats. Right. They want to support your work. It's really like a cool way to support a content creator. So like $40 hat isn't like a ripoff, right? They're like, they don't want to give you money directly. Some people they feel weird about it.
I'll just overpay for the hat and we'll call it even.
But it's not an overpay, right?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Supporting the guy, and like this, it should work the same way with like sports betting promotions. Like I'm not like guaranteeing you're going to win sports betting, but if you're going to sign up under my shit, you follow me. Like that's how I would sell it. But like more generally, like what percentage of you guys are doing on sports betting? Like, how do you feel about sports betting content?
Another one of those situations where I've kind of, been at it for a little while, and I see what sells and I see what doesn't sell. And man, it just, the content around sports betting, it's a tough world to survive in, man. It really, really is. And I think a lot of people would be surprised at how the customer base really isn't all that interested in it. There's some people that do it really well, and in order to be successful in the sports betting part of the content space, you really have to sell your soul. You have to be the Vegas Dave. You have to be our guy Tommy G. You have to be that sort of person.
Sean Perry, you get a Sean Perry reference in here.
There's a ton of them. But you have to be that sort of person for it to work. If you're just going on and posting your picks for the day, it doesn't sell as much as people have seen. And maybe other sites have more success than I have in the past, but it doesn't sell like people think. And, from a business perspective, the fantasy stuff just is so much more popular and so much more interesting to the customer base that, for us and what we're doing moving forward. Yeah. We're going to have some sports betting stuff, but it's never going to be a main feature. I think the way you can do sports betting good is to have the tools that can be used both ways. You can use these tools for fantasy stuff, but you can also find some props and some over-unders and things along the way. But just posting like picks and plays in terms of bets and things like that, it doesn't sell in the space.
I think that's what's kind of frustrating about the current DFS ecosystem, right? Like all the incentives are skewed towards sports betting, right? Like these sites are willing to pony up whether affiliate sponsorship deals, et cetera. And we look around, DraftKings, phones it in. FanDuel, whatever, is a poor man's version of phoning it in. That's what they're doing. So it's like, it sucks that, to really get the most out of the ecosystem from like a financial business standpoint is probably building tools, right? Being in the content game, I agree that you can have success doing it, but it also, I think, is really hard to scale without other added incentives kind of like fueling the ecosystem.
100% agree. And I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you need the tools, you need something more to get people excited. And, I don't know if I want to transition to this point, to this conversation at this point, but some of the price tags right now in this industry in terms of content, I mean, it's wild to me. And I sit back and try to justify it as someone that plays like higher stakes, like how much money someone would need to make consistently in order to pay some of these price tags. I mean, you're talking the industry standard now for some of the bigger sites in the industry is turned into like $600 like per sport. And they're hitting you up when these new sports start, or $100 per month per sport. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how people can continue to just jam that down and pay it. I understand there's high level players that probably can use some of that stuff to their advantage, but man, it's the price tags are getting a little out of control in my eyes.
Yeah, especially when you add it all up, when you count the optimizer or sim product, or I was just talking about that with another DFS pro yesterday.
Yeah, and I'm coming on here to talk to you guys, and we had a great time last time, so I figured I'd come back. But part of it is, I wanted to talk about our business model, which is different than that, because we wanted to create a price tag packages that make sense for people, provide them an alternative, so they don't necessarily feel like they have to pay the $600 per sport. And a lot of times it's just for 2 pieces of content. You're getting projections, or you're just getting the sim tool, or whatever it may be. We're always going to keep our price tag low. And now we're at the point where we offer all the main sports on DraftKings with projections, with ownership, for as low as $49 a month. If you want, an annual package, it's $500 for everything we offer on our site: projections, ownership. If you like the core plays, if you like player pools, if you like, slate plans, whatever you like, $500 for the entire year. Like, I just don't understand what people are getting out of these big boy price tags that they absolutely, feel like they need to have. It's wild to me. And then you see the sim stuff as well that you kind of touched on, which I get. People can use the simulation tools to their advantage, but we're talking like 1% of players. We're talking the top end players. A mid-grade player, intermediate player, can't use that shit to their advantage. There's no damn way. So
they shouldn't even be max entering. Honestly, they
exactly.
They should be playing like 3 entries. Maybe 20. Yeah, I agree.
But that's the disingenuous part that I didn't like seeing, where I get the topic and I understand that people were using these and they were able to make a lot of money by using the simulations, but the sites took that and kind of ran with it and said, oh, okay, well, let's just take this. We'll just sell it to everyone, knowing these people are going to have no fucking clue how to use this stuff. We'll just sell it to our customer base because they trust us, and we're just raking the money. And that's kind of what happened. And that's the stuff in the industry that I just really do not like to see. And we'll never be about that over here.
And I think there's a couple, dynamics to it. Once there's a signaling thing, it's like, it still doesn't cost that much, say like lobster prices. And I just bear with me for a second, but if you like charge someone $4 for a lobster sandwich, they're going to be like, how long has this lobster meat been sitting out? Like, I want a $38 lobster roll. That's how I know it's good. I think that happens a little bit with the sim product too, right? We're trying to signal to people how important, how valuable this is. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just guessing that's what goes into it. And then on top of it, they deal with, and you deal with this too, right? There's a dynamic of Brian's the perfect example, right? Like, Brian can subscribe to all of these sites for, to input his model, see what other people are doing, yada, yada. And at the volume Brian plays, it's an obvious business write-off expense. Makes complete sense. Like, it's almost too cheap for what Brian does. But then if you have a casual hand builder who's only going to play $100 a slate, then they're completely priced out of it. And so then you have a demographic of users that is like hyper polarized. And it's like, we'd sure love to charge Brian a lot more, but charging, one of these guys who's only, a couple entries, we'd like to charge them a lot less.
Yeah, no, I totally get that again. And that could just go as, Brian's a 1% type guy that's going to be able to take these tools and use that to his advantage. If you are going to roll out something like that, like I think you need to provide some education behind it, some training behind it, some tutorials behind it. This was just like a rush in, and the owners of these sites, they knew what they were going to do. Like, they knew they were going to get a bunch of novice to intermediate players that say, man, you know what? If I don't get this, I'm not going to be able to win playing DFS anymore. So I just have to have it. They'll pay the price tag because they trust these businesses, but the businesses know that these people are, it's just going to be a sunken cost for them when they do sign up, because they'll never be able to use it to their advantage.
I think there's also a dynamic of I'm even seeing like a whole array of type of DFS players in the chat today, but someone was bringing up the idea of, community and vibes and who you consume content from. Like, that is a huge element of it, right? Where it's like, if all the tools are equal or whatever, and you can just go get this information, or you can press optimize, or you can run sim and get it. Like, yeah, there are going to be people who just want to do that. Give me the shortcut. Let me get it in good. But there are a lot of people who like want to make this a hobby as part of their identity. They want to hang out with the same guys for 2 hours before lock and then chop it up with the people in the Discord after. And those are like two very different things that, again, are difficult to price.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and that kind of goes to, stepping back from the sim stuff. There's, with what I see and with our business, there's a lot of people that work the 9-to-5 job. They want to come on to shipitnation.com and they just want to see who we're playing for the day. They're not going to go in. They don't necessarily want to, take the time to do the research. They just want, what we would call core plays. Who's, Tambo playing for PGA this week? Who's Title playing for MMA this week? They just want that sort of quick answer, quick relief. But again, that's just kind of like one piece of the puzzle in the DFS content space. You can't just be all about that one thing. You have to also cater to the group of people that wants to get better. Like you said, they want to take this from like maybe a hobby to a spot where they're able to make a little additional income. And that's something that we've tried doing with the education videos for NFL and PGA. We did a 4-hour NFL education video, just walking step by step by step. And I'm not saying I know all the answers to these questions. I'm not saying I'm going to guarantee that someone's going to turn into a profitable DFS player. But at the end of the day, with what, our goal is to make somebody a better DFS player if they want to get better, and, provide them the tools and the support and the community aspect, like you touched on, is super, super important. The Discord community is massive. Like you said, a lot of people want to go in there, build their teams, and then when these slates start, they want to be in there talking about it, or before the slate, they want to talk strategy. And it's important to not only provide a community like that for customers, but a solid community where people feel comfortable. I mean, I've been in a lot of different Discords where it's a little more toxic and people are, not necessarily encouraging or not very, very helpful. In our Discord, it's, man, a lot of people in there like-minded. We haven't had any of the bullshit where, people are saying negative comments. It's just a good, friendly community. And that's another very important aspect that you touched on there for sure.
I think it's kind of important to note that really, though, the cost can be zero if you do all this yourself. Like, you can make your own projections. You can make your own optimizer, even in Excel. You don't even need that much. You could download stuff that people put on the internet for free. You could make your own sims. I did. So the cost really is zero if you want it to be. So I do want to talk about this morality thing a little more, but Pete brought up the community thing, which of course is why you merge with someone like DGen 75. But also, like, I kind of thought that, like, it was surprising when Stochastic let go ship my money and Neil, because like, that's kind of like anti the community. This is kind of the point we were trying to, like, one of the points we were trying to make before is like, well, they got this, you have this whole community structure that Pete just described so perfectly, right? Like, you just got a bunch of guys who want to, be part, ship, 10 lineups, maybe talk shit, and then listen to Ship My Money, and then go into the Discord and talk shit with him, and see what he thinks about a late swap or something like that. And so, like, obviously there's a ton more factors going on too in a business. I'm just saying, like, generally speaking, like, what did you think about those moves?
Yeah. So, I've had conversations with Adam in the past. I don't know him super well, but it seems like a very knowledgeable guy in the industry. I know a lot of people like his content. He's been at it for a while. Seems like a very solid dude. And, from the outside, looking in, when you see big moves like that, you'd have to imagine it was for some sort of financial reason, would be my guess. Again, I don't know for sure. I have no inside information. But, again, it's that, or, people go over there to see a guy like him, and he's been there for a while. He's been in the industry for a while. I honestly don't know, but hopefully, he gets something going. Seems like a good dude. I mean, I don't have, too much to say about it, but it does make you wonder about what's going on at some of these, bigger sites. Are, the first thing that clicks in my head as a competitor is like, are people finally saying, hey, enough is enough. I'm not paying these big price tags anymore. I'm moving on. I'm looking for an alternative, a more cost-effective alternative. Like, that's kind of the light bulb going off in my head. And if you are, this is a spot. Shipping Nation, nice and cheap for you, affordable.
How do you, as someone who's running a site, how do you crunch the numbers on whether an ad, like a tout ad, and let's even separate it from DGen, someone who has like a fully established community, YouTube, Discord. I think that's a slightly different thing than, let's just say, someone who only has like a Twitter persona. Like, how do you value what they could potentially bring in? Because you're getting a couple things, right? You say you hire a guy like Ship My Money, you are getting vibes, you're getting a personality, you're getting a character, you're also getting them making content. But at the end of the day, too, is their value just how many people they can convert and maintain as subs? Like, how do you even factor that into a model?
So it's definitely a business, that's definitely a business decision. Like when you look at someone like him or adding him to your staff, obviously there is going to be a pretty substantial cost. I don't know exactly, what he was making in the space. I have a pretty good guess, based on, what others make or have made. But from what I've seen, it's hard to justify bringing on a big salaried content creator. I mean, it truly is. I mean, you have to figure, I'll just throw out a number. Let's say it's $100,000. Okay. From a business, if you're looking at the bottom line, how do you go about recouping $100,000 in cost? How many people is this guy going to bring on? And I'm not talking about him specifically, just in general.
No,
how many subscribers is this guy going to bring over? What sort of packages are these people going to sign up for? Are they going to be people that sign up for an annual package? Are they going to sign up for a 6-month? Are they going to sign up for a 1-month package? It's really hard to quantify it. And, that's how that situation differs from the Degenerate 75 situation. He had a very successful business. And obviously, over the course of the last couple months, signed NDAs, and we were able to see exactly what he's built. And, I'll be honest, it honestly blew us away. Like, very impressive from essentially a one man. He has a team, but he's the only front facing person for the most part over there. What he was able to build over the course of a year and a half. But in terms of just bringing someone on, paying them big bucks to do content, I'll be honest, it's tough to justify it and come up with the scenario where it's going to pay off for your bottom line.
I would say too, Pete, like that these, like, conversely from like the personality, that like the tout perspective, like they got to be careful of getting used, because like, just hearing that makes me think like, oh, well, you just sign a guy for 2 months, all his fans will sign up, and then they're not going to, you're not going to get much more out of them than that, and then get rid of them.
Well,
the one thing I have noticed doing this for many years, being on the business side for 4 or 5, a lot of this is seasonal, honestly. I mean, you guys know that as well, but I mean, there are big peaks. Like, you in this space, you have to make your money from September through January, essentially. Like, that's the big money maker. And a lot of people, if you're doing all the sports, obviously there's some sites that only cover certain sports. So, I mean, this did recently happen towards the end of NFL when these layoffs or cuts took place, which does make sense, because that's when the stuff starts to dry up a little bit if you're not super innovative.
Yeah. And I think, Brian, one of the things that smash and grab type element, I think that works probably way more. Like, let's use the example. Let's just say, again, this tout 100 commands 100,000. Let's say a new sports book rolls out and they're offering a $250 CPA for every user, and you weaponize them on Twitter to get them to sign up for the sports book. And you're just, you're paying his salary and you're raking it in, and then you let him go. Whereas if you're bringing them on to be a tout, there is like they have to maintain that. There has to be a stickiness, because if they just then piece and you're like, wait, the guy you just hired that I signed up for is no longer here, like you're probably going to have a lot of attrition in that regard. But I do think there are certain things like that you could smash and grab.
But I will say, just to kind of touch on that topic one more time, it's like, I think on the outside looking in, people think, oh my gosh, this site has this big name that came over. Now their member base is just going to explode. It's just not as big as people think, no matter what the name is. Like, you're not getting that massive influx of people coming. I don't know if it's like a played out routine or whatever it may be, but you just don't get that huge push that I think that the outside thinks happens. It just doesn't happen like that.
Can I bring it back to this the morality kind of more topic? I was just thinking about this on the treadmill. I was listening to Spanky.
Good spot to do some thinking. Good spot to do some thinking. And the humble brag about some exercise. I like that.
Cardio.
That's right. Yeah, once a year.
When you do your thinking.
You think once a year, treadmill once a year. You'll be everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah, life's good.
I was listening to Spanky on that. What was that podcast you turned me on to, Pete? Risk Takers?
Yeah, Risk Takers is a good podcast.
And he's talking, and so I don't know how much you know about him, but like the morality of like the professional sports bettor. We talked about this a couple times, huh? It's very questionable to me, like just in general. And like I was kind of like tiering the skill gambling in my head. And so like in my head, I think like the number one like most moral is DFS. Like maybe I'm biased, but I also played poker for a living for 7 years. So but I think poker's 2. And then I think underneath that is like a 3A and 3B, like blackjack, and then sports betting is the lowest, but they're close. And like my reasoning is like if does like a bar have a right to kick a customer out, right? Does a private employer, private company have a right to deny you service? And I think like most reasonable people, the vast majority of reasonable people would say, yes, of course, clearly. Like, I don't want to sell you my shovel. I don't have to, right? It's mine. In sports betting, like the professionals, their whole business is subverting like the rules of like these private businesses not wanting their service. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason I say that it's still okay to do that is because they're in bed with the government. They kick out competition. There'd be tons more sports books that would allow you to gamble and wouldn't limit you without this moding off interference from the state. So like, fuck them. They're going to screw you in the Capitol. So like, you might as well, get yours anyways. So like, but even that is kind of questionable. And so like leaving aside, like the touting morality, like, do you have any thoughts on any of that? Either of you guys, this is more like kind of podcast talk here, like bullshitting. Like, do you have any thoughts on any of that? Either of you?
I mean, one thing that popped up into my head that's kind of interesting is, how like the sites we had the thing when J-Mac was on about the self-exclusion and stuff, how it's like,
I gotta say, how'd you guys sit there with a straight face when he was spewing some of that shit? I give you credit. I give you guys fucking credit for that.
We're actors.
Yeah, hell of a job.
But it is funny. You think about the disconnect, right? Like, you could have a gambling problem and go self-exclude, and yet you could continue to like subscribe to a tout site or whatever and like be part. Like, it's just funny how it's only shutting off like a portion of it, relative to how like there's just a disconnect for what it would actually mean to step away, where it's like, oh, we're going to stop. Well, you can go to another site where you're not self-excluded, or you could go hang out in the Discord where everyone's talking about gambling. Like, there isn't a consistency to it. That's kind of, I think, to Brian's point, like pokes holes in the morality side of it.
Yeah, and like with the sports betting stuff, I mean, it's definitely like I'd definitely say the slimiest of touting for sure. I mean, there's just no way around it. And honestly, I think that's why it's the least successful in our space. And I know it's the least successful because the numbers don't bear out. Like, people aren't interested in it. And what percentage of the general public is out there winning sports bets consistently? It's got to be just a fraction of a percentage. Like, you can't beat these books. And I think over time, people realize that. And that's just why it's not successful content. I mean, there's groups of people that I'm sure beat the books, but then, like you said, they kind of get limited. Right. It just is not successful because people over time realize, like, wait, like, there's no secret sauce to this. But if there is a secret sauce to it, no one's telling you what it is. So you might as well give up.
Yeah, and also to Pete's point, like, it's way less a community, I feel like than DFS. Like, it's much more interesting to talk an hour or two before the game about DFS topics than Niners -2, like, oh, it's cheaper on FanDuel. Okay, thanks. Like, that's like the extent of the community experience. Yeah, but it's just like to me, like, I don't know how much you pay attention online. I know you're an in real life bro, cutting your grass and going to baseball games, right? But us online bros, like, there's a lot of there's a huge community of sports bettors who shame all the touts in the world, and it's just kind of strange that, like, your whole business is like subverting the rules of these private companies. And by the way, I think my reasoning for them doing that being okay, they don't even know that, they don't even really think about it from that angle. And so, like, they're like, they have all these illegal accounts, essentially breaking terms and services of these private companies that they wouldn't do like at Ace Hardware or something, they wouldn't like abuse that company. Yeah. And then just go, but touts are the absolute worst, like,
I think the reason
giving out free picks. Oh my God.
I think the reason the DFS stuff can be so successful from a touting perspective is people come to it for a variety of different reasons. There's people that, just want projections. There's people that just want to know who a certain person is playing today. There's people that want to be in the community, and there's people that, want to be chatting before lock. There's people that want to be in the Discord chatting after lock. There's people that want to consume absolutely everything and use it to their advantage, and so many different angles. That's why, I think moving forward, the most successful sites in our space are going to be the ones that offer like the all-encompassing package, not just one certain thing, like these projections or these. Now, top end players, maybe they're just looking for as many different projection sets as possible. But with what we're dealing with more intermediate to novice to beginner type players, they're coming for a variety of different reasons, and just speaking on the moral grounds of that, I would just feel terrible charging someone a lot of money. So everyone gets a fair price tag, and call it a day.
Yeah. And I think, the only piece of like sports betting content for me that I've felt natural is we did it over on Ship Chasing this year, where we built a pick'em entry on Underdog, shared it with the community, and then we all sweat it together with a companion live stream. And like, that was the community element where I see a lot of, the engagement farmers who are crushing with that kind of stuff. And it's like, it does seem very transactional. There are people who want just a bet to tail. And if you just telling them that, it feels like they're getting permission to tail that. I'm completely fine with that. But there is like nothing else to it, right? There's no communal sweat. It's them either coming back and being like, thanks, King, or fuck you for failing. And like, that's it. And then we just move on and do it the next day. Like, there's something very hollow about it. For me, and I don't have like a moral stand, like go off, King, like get that affiliate money, get your threads going and stuff. But it just like, it doesn't seem fun or interesting to me.
Agree. And then you kind of touch on something there, like people are always looking for, just like the verification of their thoughts, like DFS sports betting, whatever it is. They want, if they say, oh, I like this play, they want someone to say, oh, so do I. And then it's like, all right, then this has to be a good play. I mean, people are looking for that in, all different walks of life. So that angle of it definitely makes sense.
It's true. That is a big bias. The way I wanted it to go is because, like, from a content perspective, morally, I think the issue is like the best you can do is get your guy limited. Like that's what you're hoping for, is your sub will eventually be limited because you win so much, which is what's going to happen. So like, because like, let's be real, like I would argue no content site right now can beat sides or totals, right? I mean, I think everyone would agree with that. So like, if you're not betting the meat and potatoes, you're gonna get you're like 95% plus chance you're gonna get limited, which would be like the best possible outcome for because you don't want them to lose, obviously. Yeah. So like, there needs to be some sort of solution there.
Well, I can tell you one thing. I must be a pretty bad sports bettor because I've never been limited. So if you need someone to play some bets for you, I'm your guy.
That's my idea. Like I said it before, but like I wouldn't want to do it through the blockchain, obviously, because I don't want people to get ripped off or whatever from each other. But like, there really needs to be a shared shared accounts. But the problem is, I think it would always break the terms of services. And if you're running like an LLC or something, you don't want to run that kind of business. So like there's probably never going to be a solution here. Like kind of the thing ETR does, and Right Angle Sports started this trend, was where they do the time release picks. But like, it's like not everyone is around their computer at 2:00 or whenever the line comes out and they're going to release it. So like, but that is semi-communal too. So like, but like, yeah, somehow if there's a way where they could, legally share accounts, then maybe you could get like just, 1,000 people together, all sweating the same bet.
Yeah.
I just thought it would be such a good bit for one of the guys that do the Twitter threads for like their picks of the day. And they're like, we've been crushing too hard. We got to bet an NFL side today where it's all about account health, guys. We're just betting Chiefs +3. Let's throw the sports books off the set. We've been hitting them too hard. That's how you'd really, I'd be like, holy cow, he's talking about account health. This means he's really crushing it.
Who did that?
No, I'm saying it'd be a great bit.
Oh, that's a great bit. Yeah. So like basically every bet is an account health bet. Like
account health. It's like these locks, dude, just keep hitting. So we have to get the fish bets in.
Another quick topic from a previous show that I want to touch on real quick. I know there's a lot of back and forth. The best of all time is Yoda Cow. Like there's no one else. Like that shouldn't even be a topic of debate at this point.
I think we both agree.
Once his name came on, that was a bust, man. That was a
what?
I can't even think about it. Who was on and trying to claim that he was the best.
Whistles?
That was, come on, man. Like that was weak.
Or was Whistles claiming he was the best, or was he just throwing kind of a little shade at Yuta being the best? I think was what it was.
It was different. Different approach, but it's definitely Utica.
I mean, I don't know if we're spilling the beans here, Pete. Maybe we already have, but like he was DMing us saying like he was going to come on and, post all this stuff talk about you.
He's talking a big game coming in. Yeah.
But then he didn't really have any receipts to back it up.
Well, we also need, it's like the same thing that happens, right? With like MVP or any kind of nebulous award where everyone's working with different definitions. Where it's like, Whistles was like, how many millis have you won? And then someone else is like, well, what's just your net profit all time? And then, Brian will bring up a point about, well, longevity, like means something, like how long have you been in the game? Because a lot of guys have, burned too bright and then, flashed out. It's like, we need an actual definition, but it does seem like Yuta checks almost every one of those boxes.
Yeah. For sure.
He's the ultimate brain player too.
Yeah,
love it. And that's probably why I like him.
Doesn't use stems.
What is your best sport right now, Hoop, for DFS?
Honestly, well, I had a good end of the NFL season. I had a conference championship at a 50,000 hit, but the one that I've been winning at most consistently, which is a shocker to me because I knew nothing about this sport prior to 3 years ago, is UFC, MMA. It's been my most consistently winning sport. And again, I knew nothing about it. And I use our content from Title and Marley, and that's it. It's really the only thing I look at. And it's a fun sport to sweat too. I mean, that's a hell of a sweat. If you're live going into that main event, and you got two dudes getting locked in the cage and they're about to beat the shit out of each other, it's fun to sweat that. But yeah, it's been my most consistent sport recently, surprisingly.
Go ahead.
You're not a big dupe bro like we are, right? Like
I'm the idiot that usually is duping with everyone. I'm working on that. I am working on that though, because now that I'm more in the 150 streets, I'm a little more cautious. Like in the past, I would just do 150 as an addition to everything else I was doing. So I didn't put a lot of time into it. I do like for golf, I'd do like 20 in the 555 or the 888, whatever they have that week. And then I just quickly run 150. I know everyone would make fun of me because I had the most duplicated stuff and all. I'm like, all right, calm down a little bit. Now I'm putting in a little more time and kind of figuring it out a little bit more. So I'm trying to limit those dupes as much as possible. But in the past, I was a bad offender of that. And I know you guys probably
because hasn't that always been your style? Like you've been traditionally like a one lineup guy, right? Like build the best lineup and play it.
Years. Yeah.
Okay. And is that a shift just because of like what the market is like in these contests?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've always been a proponent to switching up your play as needed. And, you see a lot of people, I've been doing this for, I don't know, almost 12 years playing. That's why you see a lot of those people, they get to the top and then they disappear because they don't reevaluate like their style of play or the worst thing you can do in DFS is wake up every single day, enter the exact same contest and not look back at your results and see how things are changing. A lot of different dynamics that should lead you to reevaluate your style of play. Obviously, if you get on a hot streak or cold streak, or you're seeing certain trends, but it's part family stuff situation. I coach my kids' sports team, so I'm not able to get in there. I'm not playing a lot of NBA DFS right now. I mean, it's just too much of a grind for me at this point. My main focus right now in terms of what I'm playing, NFL, well, not NFL anymore, but it was NFL, MMA, PGA, and baseball do as well. These time, I think Osmo talked about it too, which I agree with. I mean, like these time commitment sports, it's tough to do. Like the NBA stuff, I've been doing it for so long, and it's a grind. I mean, it is an absolute grind. But yeah, in terms of which contests I'm playing, I'm more 150 for golf this week. I did 20 teams. I put it in everything I could, like the 555, and then everything down from that. Some weeks I'll do 150, but just kind of doing it.
I'm not trying to persuade you, but they have partitioned the NBA schedule. So I don't know if you've noticed.
I know. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of emails and texts from my reps, so trying to draw me back in. But man, it's like I've been out for most of the season. It's like
right, and like there's some slates though. It's just beautiful. Like it'll be 6. I don't know where you live, but I'm Central Time, so it's 6.
East Coast.
Okay, so you 7 to 8, and you're done.
Yeah,
but that's not every time. So like yesterday was all the way till 9.
No.
But I don't know. I like it a lot more. It feels like a lot of other people do as well because they haven't changed it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I know for a fact, like those full slates with full late swap and all that. Like I'm at a massive disadvantage. Like massive. NBA used to be my best sport when I first started doing this. Like nowadays, I'll be the first to admit, like I'm not good getting in there, making all the proper swaps with NBA. Like I'm at a huge disadvantage. And that's kind of why I said, I'm kind of, out on the sport, which is, fine to do, but it is fun though. It's another sport that's really fun to sweat, to watch it, nonstop action, nonstop fantasy points being scored. So I do miss it a little bit. So maybe you've encouraged me to come back at some point.
So, I mean, I think I know the answer to this, but just to confirm. So for all of your DFS play, you don't use Sims at all. Have you ever used a Sim product?
So we're partnered with the Solver, and we had a meeting with them, and they kind of walked us through it. And I tried a couple NFL slates, and it just wasn't even working for me. I didn't know what I was doing. I obviously wasn't paying close enough attention. It just doesn't work for me. So no, the answer is a hard no.
Okay. So is it Sims in general, or you just haven't found a Sim product that works for you? Or are you just kind of like, I just want to build how I build?
Yeah, pretty much. And, I'm kind of stubborn in my approach and in terms of the way I build my teams. And, I don't know. I mean, I get it. Like there is value, and I think you have to be a very smart person with like technology and the way these things work. You have to understand the context. You have to have good projections, good ownership. I just think there's so many factors that go into it. And it's just, not for me. Again, I think, the top 1% of guys can probably use it to their, probably less than that, less than 1% of guys can use it to their advantage. And, it's just something that's not for me.
It's interesting because you just came off saying like how you have a, what's the term, growth mindset to how you are, thinking about your DFS play, evaluating, changing, how you do it, but then be kind of closed off to Sims when this does, feel like the frontier. Are you worried about casuals catching up to you because of these sophisticated Sims tools?
I don't know. Like, I mean, potentially, but again, I have the mindset that I just don't think many people are going to be able to use them to their advantage. And, I've had success, over the last couple of years building 150, obviously, winning the EmpireMaker, and then I've had other big wins. So for me at this point, I don't think I need to change, my style of play or my approach. But again, like I said, I'm always reevaluating my game and what I need to do. So maybe at some point I'll have to dig into it a little bit more. But at this point, I'm not super worried about it. And, I just don't use them.
Yeah.
So do you think Big T should man up and do our show? He hasn't done it in a year.
No comment. No comment.
I mean, that we do have to ask the age-old question we ask all of our guests. Are you on team Run Pure Sports or team Ship It Nation?
Team Ship It Nation, baby.
Would that not have been the greatest heel turn of all time? Puts on
peel off the sweatshirt. I'm back, baby. Get the 2 hats, lay out the 2 hats, got the Run Pure and the Ship It. Where's Hoop going? D-Gen's in, Hoop's out.
Well, Hoop, appreciate you coming by. I'm going to have to think of what can I title this episode to try to come close to the amount of views we got last time you were on.
It's going to be tough. Like I said in the opening, it's
Hoop calls Big T coward.
Yeah.
Just lie.
Hoop calls Big T a big pussy.
What did Hoop just say?
It's gonna be tough to beat those numbers from 2023.
Have things changed? Are you more like cordial or friendly with any of those guys now that there's been some time? Like, have you and Big T exchanged any kind of words since then?
No, not much communication. I mean, the only time I'm communicating them with is, from a business perspective, if something comes my way, obviously, my address was associated with their business. So, send it their way, and that's about it. Nothing on a personal level, which, is what it is.
Gotcha. Brian, anything else from you today?
No, I don't think we got it. I mean, I thought that was a good move by you guys that we talked about earlier, where he has got a dedicated following. So good luck.
Appreciate
the merger.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it. We're excited. Good fit for what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Appreciate all of you guys in the chat. There are definitely a lot of new faces here just for Hoop from Ship It Nation. I believe there was some NBA DFS talk that was breaking out in here for a long time. Did not recognize some of those words, but happy to provide a place for you guys to talk about this upcoming slate. We are here every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, except next Thursday. I'm going dark for a week. I'm just taking a full week off. No stuff. Brian can maybe do a fake lulz with Davis. Maybe another one of those. How was that received last week, Brian?
Oh, pretty good. Well, yeah, we'll see if Davis has time. Maybe we'll do another fake lulz.
There you go. You could get to the bottom of who owns.
Where you were gone last week, right?
Yeah. I'm just I'm a lazy content creator. So no, excited. I mean, everyone's out here already drafting best ball teams. I needed a little hit the reset button, and then we can come back with the fire of 1,000 suns. Yeah, Neil's out here making his own thumbnails in the content game these days.
I saw.
Yeah, been taking notes from Chess Liam on how to make thumbnails, I see. All right, appreciate all of you guys. Thanks to Hoop. Check him out over at Ship It Nation. Shout out to Degenerate75. Congrats to him and the whole gang. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks here on Lulz. Peace.